However, this was still a niche look and more of a circus act.
Really?
The ideal physique for many was now actually a wide waist and sizable stomach.
Crazy.
A look that signalled wealth and social status, as it showed a man could afford lots of food. The natives, who are mostly bony and angular, have stared with envy at the portly forms and
You got a six-pack? Ugh, you're poor. That's crazy, bro. The ideal male body throughout history. Video by Josh Brett. Let's go ahead and check this out, man. Yes, we are.
A creme de la creme of masculine beauty.
We care about that shit over here.
This was the world's most perfectly developed man in 1922. Today, it's called a dad bod.
Trash bod, trash physique.
Over time, the idealized physique has changed. From bulky to fit, gangly to dumpy, flabby to enhanced. If we can make sense of some of the most bizarre trends throughout history, we can make predictions for the future and come closer to understanding what the ideal male body really means.
Right.
A gleaming chest, bright skin, broad shoulders, tiny tongue, strong buttock.
Tiny tongue? Hey, yo. Tiny tongue. Whoa.
And a little prick was the ideal physique, according to ancient Greeks.
Yeah. We moved past that. OnlyFans changed that. X videos changed that. Tiny prick is not in fashion anymore, sir.
Symbolic of someone more noble and civilized,
Crazy.
as opposed to lustful and depraved.
Come on! Yes!
These traits can be seen in the Rhea's bronzes, the Discobolus, and the Laocoon Sun statue. Physical strength was celebrated. In the words of Socrates, it's a shame for a man to grow old without seeing the beauty and strength of which his body is capable. Probably why Greeks invented—
I agree. It's a shame for you to die an old man and never know what it's like to be ripped, never know what it's like to be jacked, because essentially every single man is capable of that. Of course, we all have our genetic limitations, and so we don't all reach the same levels, but most men will never even come close to seeing what they're capable of physically.
the gymnasium, which translates to school for naked exercise. Masculinity was about facing adversity head-on, whether mental or physical. He who's only an athlete is too much a savage. He who's only a scholar is too soft. The ideal citizen is a scholar-athlete, the man of thought and the man of action.
W take.
In the Elizabethan age, intellectual power was more important than upper body strength, as this was associated with the peasants, who had to work manual jobs. The upper class would wear angular clothing and raised heels, accentuating the only body part on display, the calves. In high society, men saw strong legs as a height of physical perfection. When he wasn't executing his wives, Henry VIII was posing for frightened painters, who portrayed him with massive calves. This look was clearly popular.
That's crazy.
With Shakespeare deciding to take it further.
That's crazy. The calves is like, hey, you see them calves though? You see them calves? Yeah, I'm like that.
Flashing his quad.
Calves, I think, in this day and age are one of the most neglected body parts when it comes to working out. I don't train calves, bro, at all. Fuck calves, bro.
As the middle class rose, the wealthiest, who travelled Europe for arts and fashion, became known as the flamboyant macaronis, named after their love for the Italian dish. They would wear feminine clothes, tall hair, and were typically skinnier people. It was a statement of wealth, as they didn't need to engage in manual labor.
This is ridiculous.
They saw themselves as refined, witty, and socially important, with the Earl of Bristol's nephew reportedly wearing a photo of himself across his chest. But unfortunately, after public ridicule and attacks on hair powder, the trend died out.
You know what? This has to be the equivalent of like the bright colored skinny jeans era that we left 10 years ago.
Inspired by the powerful look of the past, Eugene Sandow built a physique through studying Greek statues. He was regarded as a celebrity and admired as a figure of masculinity, popularizing weightlifting. However, this was still a niche look and more of a circus act.
Really?
The ideal physique for many was now actually a wide waist and sizable stomach.
Crazy.
A look that signaled wealth and social status, as it showed a man could afford lots of food. So the Fat Men's Club trend began, in which you had to be over 200 pounds and learn the secret handshake to join. I've got to be good-natured, I can't fight and I can't run, was their
crazy.
motto. A 1904 Boston Globe article.
Being fat, like that's oh yeah, he got money. Now you go and buy a bust-down chain or an expensive car or some nice clothes. But back then, you know what I'm saying, you put on that extra 100 pounds, people know what's up. They know that you really like that.
Described their
You
arrival.
got deep pockets.
The natives, who are mostly bony and angular,
Dang.
have stared with envy at the portly forms and
You got a six-pack? Ugh, you're poor. That's crazy, bro. When being fat was a flex, insane.
open faces, which have arrived on every train. Clubs popped up in America and France, where men stuffed themselves with huge breakfasts and then headed out for friendly Olympic-style contests of strength and virility. However, as food became more accessible, fat became less desirable. 1920s Hollywood largely shaped the male body ideal. It was believed the camera added about 20 pounds to an actor's frame, and many actors did their own stunts, so a slim athletic build became desirable. The Hollywood icon body type was born in this era. Meanwhile, marketers realized that emotion-invoking
Bro, this is insane though, how far we've
body
come.
type was born in this
Bro,
era.
if I posted a picture with my body looking like this, talking about I'm trying to flex for the gram, bro, you know how roasted I would get? Niggas would be roasting. And this was like, bro was like, I'm killing this shit. Gymflation is a real thing, bro. Wow.
Meanwhile, marketers realized that emotion-invoking advertising was highly effective, so they began publishing classics, such as I Could Never Fall in Love with a Skinny Man,
Damn.
Don't Be Half Man. And my personal favorite is a story about a skinny guy with his girlfriend. A muscular man Hadoukens him in the face for being skinny, so he buys Charles Atlas's program, bulks up, only to return to that same beach to knock the guy out. What a man.
Bro, red pill used to just be normal. The red pill mindset used to just be what it is.
They found a tribe of strong, silent, and almost perfect men.
Muscularity was becoming more popular, with better resources and information.
A creme de la creme of masculine beauty.
However, the Hollywood lead was still a lean, muscular, healthy look, with the likes of James Dean and Clark Gable. With more people owning televisions, a young Elvis Presley was idolized for his music, his physique, healthy and moderate. And in 1951, the first ever diet and exercise program aired.
Good morning, happy Monday morning to you. My name is Jack LaLanne, and I'm here for one reason and one reason only, to show you how to feel better and look better so you can live longer.
The ideal body type was healthy and athletic. However, with various wars brewing and the rising popularity of competitive sports, there was a massive push for the development of performance enhancements that would change everything. My internet history while making this video became increasingly suspect. It was a money on, so there's nothing for making this possible. Before steroids would explode in popularity, the Vietnamese War largely divided America, which sparked a counterculture wave. The slim physique represented a rejection of the previous generation's more traditional masculinity.
And so I think that a generation of kids which says, we don't care about your concepts of cleanliness, is a revolutionary generation.
Instead of strength and conformity, the counterculture embraced ideas of freedom, non-conformity, and natural living. Influenced by movements like hippie culture, anti-war protests, and the rise of rock stars like Mick Jagger, Bob Dylan, David Bowie, and Hendrix. But traditional masculinity was still prominent in Hollywood, with action stars including Paul Newman, Steve McQueen, and Clint Eastwood.
You mean you don't admire peace?
It's not really easy to like something you know nothing about.
With a more muscular Steve Reeves, featuring as a Herculean character in many Hollywood films. Meanwhile, Joe Weider took Charles Atlas's advertising to the next level, featuring bodybuilding champions to sell fitness products, and he was about to meet an Austrian that would make him a fortune.
The GOAT. Get in the chopper!
Dylan!
The golden era.
Son of a bitch.
Popularized by iconic figures like Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sylvester Stallone, bodybuilding and pumping iron became mainstream, with chemically enhanced physiques perceived as the epitome of masculine perfection. With more people taking performance enhancements, shows like wrestling became more popular, featuring insanely muscular people, with the likes of Hulk Hogan, Brutus Beefcake, the Ultimate Warrior,
Bro, everybody was taking steroids at this time, bro. Everybody.
Rocky Johnson, and Lex Luger. Other male icons included Chuck Norris, the Batman, and Superman, with Bruce Lee still incredibly popular for his impressive martial arts displays and lean physique.
He wasn't on steroids though, clearly.
As bodybuilders began chasing more and more mass,
Dang.
its mainstream appeal faded.
God damn, this is when it went too far. That's what humans always do, man. We always take this shit too far. This is where it went too far. When we got to Ronnie's era.
The effects of steroid abuse became more well known, so the idealized physique became less extreme in comparison to the golden era of bodybuilding. Hollywood leads included Keanu Reeves, DiCaprio, Patrick Swayze, Tom Cruise, Johnny Depp, and perhaps most representative of the idolized male body, Brad Pitt from Fight Club. More attention was focused on the male body in advertising, such as with Mark Wahlberg's campaign with Calvin Klein.
No, the best protection against AIDS is to keep your Calvins on.
The number of male cosmetic procedures.
What? What kind of ad is that? The best protection against AIDS?
No, the best protection against AIDS is to keep your Calvins on.
The number of male cosmetic procedures.
That's crazy,
increased
man.
256%. From 1997
Really? Wow.
to 2001, while the paid circulation of Men's Health went from 250,000 in 1990 to more than 1.5 million in 1997, hinting at a new trend. With the rise of social media sites such as Facebook, Instagram, and forums, the aesthetic era arose, with more of an emphasis on leanness and proportions as opposed to sheer mass. Championed by the likes of Z's and the Aesthetic Crew, which spawned a wave of fitness influencers, but this somehow became normal. Gymshark was formed, and they would sponsor the most idolized younger men in the bodybuilding social media industry. For me, this is where my goal moved from Ronaldo to fitness influencers, as I quit the sports I enjoyed to spend more time in the gym. Hollywood included more muscular actors, such as Chris Hemsworth, The Rock, Henry Cavill, Tom Hardy, and Hugh Jackman. Even action figures were being produced with more muscle. There was clearly a demand for increased muscularity. And this shift was further demonstrated with the remake of Baywatch, and films like Twilight, which began portraying more muscular teenagers. Popular influencers began photoshopping their photos to have more extreme proportions so they could stand out on social media. And for some mystical reason, the fitness influencer became synonymous with self-obsessive, dishonest, and narcissistic, kickstarting a new trend.
It's the dad bod!
Popularized by celebrity figures such as Chris Pratt, DiCaprio, and Seth Rogen, which many believe represent—
This is a psyop. This was never a thing. There was never a period where women were genuinely like, yeah, I prefer this to a six-pack. Come on.
More approachable form of masculinity that balances attractiveness with the demands of daily life. Prominent actors such as Zac Efron and The Rock bulked up even more, with Chris Hemsworth achieving his peak physique.
Slip too hard, damn it!
Reality TV shows such as Love Island featured more muscular physiques. Meanwhile, on social media, influencers were being more open about their performance-enhancing drug use. It's now not unusual for teenagers to be sharing their steroid cycles,
Crazy, bro.
with performance enhancements such as SARMs and testosterone more accessible than ever before. Yet, many Hollywood lead actors still displayed fit, widely achievable body types, from more androgynous builds to athletic. And it became a lot more apparent.
Do y'all think there's going to come a point in time, in our lifetime, where steroids are legal? Like, you can just go get them. Maybe you still have to go to a doctor to get a prescription, but it's above board. You want to become a professional bodybuilder, whatever, a professional athlete, it's commonly known, it's well known, everybody knows that the people at the top of these industries, including the NBA, the NFL, even fields like that, they're taking steroids. Do you think we get to a point where we're just like, fuck it, you want them, come get them? right? You just got to go through a doctor.
What a lot of people meant when they were referring to a dad bod.
Can you rate this guy's physique for me, then?
Can't see it.
When many people think of dad bods,
Yeah,
they're referring
right.
to a bodybuilder in the off-season or James Bond.
I think the dad bod's very attractive in my opinion.
Is this what you mean by dad bod?
Immediately, no. Yeah, no. See, I like that.
That's not a dad
Right? A dad bod is literally a dude that's like 2 months out from competing on a bodybuilding stage. Insane.
It's not. I think it's a dad bod.
That's
Even the world's
crazy.
most perfectly developed man from the early 20th
This
century.
is a dad bod to women today. What was the ideal in the 60s or whenever this was is now a dad bod crazy. You can even see bro's abs a little bit. This is a dad bod.
would be mocked if he had an Instagram.
Oh yeah, for
Adonis
sure.
himself would not be fit to play most superheroes. And Arnold too fat to win Mr. Olympia today.
Male body dysmorphia is on track to overtake female body dysmorphia within the next few decades.
These shifts are ultimately driven by what the mass market wants to see. It looks cool, but as a side effect, there's a growing disconnect between what most men and women find ideal. Menno Helmsman put out a poll to his audience of mostly serious lifting men and women, and you can see that the men typically chose more muscular physiques, while the women only preferred muscle up to a certain point.
You can see that women prefer a decently muscular build, but when you get to like bodybuilder level with super high muscle definition, the ratings taper off precipitously.
Another study found that men from 3
I
different
wonder why that is. Why is it that women, when they see the bodybuilder, the Ronnie Colemans, the Bumsteads, the big guys, the Sam Soliks, they go, ew, too much. What is it exactly?
countries believe the body with 30 more pounds of muscle than themselves.
I mean, I don't think it looks good either, like aesthetically. I would much prefer to be... I feel like the ideal body, which is still unattainable without steroids, would be like Chris Hemsworth in Thor Ragnarok. Where was that scene? It was somewhere over here. Like this right here, even though it is still unnatural, like you can't get this big without steroids, really, unless you're super genetically gifted. But like this right here, I feel like this is perfect. If you could get here without steroids, and for some people, I think it's possible. They can get there, they can get close. I don't think most people can. But that to me, I feel like is like perfect. It's superhero build, you know what I'm saying?
While the woman only preferred muscle up to a certain point.
You can see that women prefer a decently muscular build, but when you get to like
of muscle than themselves was ideal. While the pilot study found that actual women preferred an ordinary male body. This is by no means to put you off going to the gym. Just to stress,
Oh, that's too
it doesn't
big.
take TRT to achieve the mainstream ideal physique, and the ideal is subjective.
Like around there too, that, you know, it technically could be a little leaner. This is still great. Look, it's the standards of perfection. We're talking about perfection. Perfection is unattainable, typically, right? But even this right here, I feel like that's a good size, you know, decently wide shoulders, full chest. You can see the six pack. This right here, I think, is like on the money, bro. But again, all these guys are taking steroids to get this, man.
So trying to reach it for the approval of others is a losing game. Yet, you may have noticed that a healthy body has always been respected, and fluctuations away from healthy are never as much about the body as the character traits they signify, whether that's nobility, or more carefree nature, or ambition. This is why I now simply do the sports I enjoy, with more of an emphasis on performance, because trends will come and go, but strong values, health, and mastery are timeless.
For sure. Well, there you have it. That is a walk down memory lane or throughout history, what the best physiques look like, depending on what era you lived in. You let me know, what do you think is the best? I think, like I said, Thor, Superman, maybe downsize them a little bit. Maybe a little bit thick, a little bit off of that. I feel like that would be the perfect physique. And honestly, maybe with years of dedication and a little bit of luck genetically, it's actually something that you can attain without needing to involve steroids. Who knows? I don't know. We'll see. I'm a lock into the gym and, see what we can pull off in the next few years. But you let me know what you think is best in the comment section down below. Like the video, subscribe, all of that.